Why, hello there. It's Tuesday because you're listening to this, and also because after every Monday and before every Wednesday comes Tuesday, best day of the week, apart from some of the other days. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't tuned in before, my name's Nick, and I've been hosting the show for a little while now, which is totally irrelevant, but it's a lovely fun fact I like to read out, and it's my podcast, so I get to say things like that. Anyway, we're going to talk about two very, very exciting things today. One is about a Canva integration with a couple of apps from Seguno, our partners that you need. It's incredible. I've actually got quite a long list of things. There's 8 things they've updated on across the board on 2 different apps, which is very exciting. And there'll be a link in the description to go and check out more about that, or to the link, an actual link to the apps themselves. And then we're going to talk about Agentic AI and focus groups and customer feedback surveys and a whole range of other things, which will make things fast, free, and incredible thanks to the beautiful work at OpenAI. And some other AI tools can all do the same. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump in and see what's going on. So, Seguno, I am reading off notes today, which is quite rare for me because I don't want to get any of this wrong because it's not my world, but I'm very excited by it. Well, it is my world. What's a good analogy? It's my world, but not my country. So it's one way you could do it. I work in marketing, not this kind of marketing. But there are 2 apps that Seguno have. There is the email marketing one, which we'll come into in a sec. And there's also Shopify Connect for Canva, which is super exciting. You can now connect in Canva for designing stuff at next to nothing. And Canva have amazing AI as well. In Canva, you can now connect your Shopify product images. Wow. Mind blown. So if you want to put one of your products on a beach or in somebody's house or on somebody's person, you can use AI in Canva to do that. And you can grab the product images from Shopify. No more downloading, uploading, and you get the idea. You can edit images within Canva for product variants. So good. So when you have 5 colors of this item, but you only got pictures of it in lifestyle shot for one of those colors, for the blue one, not the red, yellow, or green. The red, yellow, and green, you can sort that out in Canva. Super, super exciting. You can also see the product details on featured images within Canva as well. And you can also collection link now available, so you can link collections. So exciting. If you're not using Canva, you absolutely should be. Gone are the days of talking to designers for hours and hours and hours about going back and forth and what to do. I built my own annual leave system at Spec, and we tried to come up with a fun name. It's called Holidave. And I built Holidave using AI. And I got an AI, it's called Vibe Coding. I've got an AI tool that I talk to, and it's built that. So now I don't have to pay tens of pounds a month, hundreds of pounds a year, thousands of pounds every decade on an annual leave system that doesn't quite work how I want it to. A few things I have to do manually. I just built my own, integrates with calendars, does all sorts. It's fantastic. But the same with this Canva link up. If you're not using Canva already for your business, for your Shopify store, you absolutely should be. I spent so much of my life trying to learn things like Photoshop. I'm not a creative. Using something like Canva, it makes it so easy, so simple. And especially if you're connecting it to Shopify using their apps. Their app's called Shopify Connect for Canva, and it's made by made by Seguno. So go and check out that app. Seguno email marketing. We talk a lot on the show about email marketing, and Seguno are our favorite partner, which is why we've let them sponsor. And thank you guys for sponsoring as well. We love working with you. We also did a webinar with them last week. That'll be live soon. I think it might be going live this weekend, depending on when you're watching this. But anyway, it should be live soon, and there'll be a link. We're not going to post it on the podcast itself, but if you want to check out that webinar with TaxCloud and Seguno, talking about the biggest threats to your business for this year, go and check out our YouTube channel and things. It should be live soon. If you're on our email list, you'll get an email when that goes live. But the second one is Seguno email marketing. You can now create a Canva design from within the email editor. So exciting. The biggest part of all of this is trying to take something from an idea to execution as fast as possible. So you can create a Canva design from within the email editor if you're using Seguno. You can edit any image from your Shopify store with Canva and then export it into your email. So if you make a cool image and go, that's nice, you can put it straight into the Seguno email app and use it in your emails. You can edit and update all images saved as Canva designs from inside Seguno or from your Canva library. So exciting. So any image you've got on there, you can start editing in one place and it'll be on both. And you can automatically save images created in Seguno to a shared folder. So if you make an image in Seguno using Canva, that will automatically be saved in a shared folder within Shopify. So you can use it within the design of the site or your collection or a blog post, etc., etc., etc. And they finish by saying this, I love this: speed up your workflow, find both apps in the Shopify app store. More ways to use Shopify and Canva together. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Super, super exciting. Anyway, how expensive and frustrating and time consuming is it to get a load of customers together and then get those customers to give you some feedback and then look at the usability statistics of your website? And then the analytics will tell you what people did and not why. The user group will tell you what they think in the moment. And a million factors could have influenced what they say in the moment. So what if you could do all of that for free? And you could do it near enough instantaneously, just as fast as you could type a message. And then imagine that you could just change one parameter like that. I don't know if you heard that. I clicked my fingers, but you can just change a parameter instantly and suddenly have something quite different happening in that focus group, in that audience, in that feedback that you were using. Well, the time has come to do that with AI. It's called Agentic AI. So you can get customer feedback, do it in seconds. I'm going to give you a bit of a 1 to 5 on how to do this. And we're going to talk a little bit about what Agentic is within AI. It's in ChatGPT, and I think Gemini has an option for it, and so does Grok and a few others. You might need to pay the subscription to get this feature, but for $20 a month, gosh, how much more is it going to cost you in just time alone talking to a feedback group when this can give you a huge amount of feedback anyway? And I'm going to give you some examples of how we're using it. Basically, agentic modes, I only realized today, I knew agentic mode. I only clocked when I was on ChatGPT. I was like, agentic, that is just agent, but with a more technical name to make it agentic. So it's just an agent. So you put it in agent mode. So rather than normally, as you normally do with AI, you give it a command and then it sends something back that's quite cool and it gives you an answer. This is where you actually say, I want you to act on my behalf. I want you to make decisions. I want you to ask me questions. So the first thing you should do is, and again, if you don't have any customers yet, if you're starting out or you've only getting like a sale or two a day and you're like, we don't even have enough customers to try and sit any of them down, but we need this information. And you want to find out how they're using your website, where their pain points are, where some of the emotional friction happens, where they're like, oh, I don't like that, or I don't understand that, or that's too confusing. Those are the things that the data on your website is going to be not impossible, but it's going to be quite hard to get some of that data out. If people just prefer it in yellow than they do in blue, the data's not going to tell you that. The data's going to say your conversion rate's dropped, or there's something wrong with this page, maybe not quite what. The most important thing, I think, and the biggest thing that I see a lot of brands just totally missing out on is they make assumptions. And I'm going to use a very friendly way of saying this. It's a very unfriendly way of saying this. Assumptions are the beginning of all screw-ups. We'll call it screw-ups. You can change the word screw to whatever you want. But they are, that is the beginning of every issue, is when somebody's made an assumption. We have a bit of a thing in our company values here of like question and challenge everything, literally everything. So when clients are like, yeah, we're growing really, really well at the moment, we have a look at the data and go, are you? Like, you're growing a little bit. I wouldn't say you're growing well. Like, it's actually your worst year for growth in 5 years. Like, let's just be honest about the stats, because it changes the strategy of what we're going to do and the job in hand, doesn't it? Or some people say like, oh, well, our marketing's fallen off a cliff. No, it hasn't. Your marketing and sales and customer acquisition's flat, but things. So this is a really powerful way of overcoming that. So agent mode is an agent. Act on my behalf, please. So first thing you want to do is, rather than giving it your audience and going, our audience, our average audience, she's called Susan and she lives in New York and she's single. She spends her weekends in cafes. Rather than doing that, just give it the website and say, can you create me an audience? And this is the most important bit as well. And tell me what you need. Make me an audience, or maybe 4 audiences. I think we did 4 with one of our clients recently. And at the end, we were like, we could have literally done 10 and it wouldn't have taken much more time, but would have given us a bit more info. And ask it what you need. So you say to ChatGPT, make the audience, what do you need? And ChatGPT will come back and say, all right, let me know, what's your best selling product at the moment? What's most popular? How do you drive most of the traffic into site? And if you say most of it's coming from TikTok, it will factor that into the audience it creates and go, they're on TikTok. Therefore, we can make some assumptions and we know what device they're on. We know they're definitely on mobile, because you can only use TikTok on mobile. They can technically use on desktop. So do you see what I mean? There's loads of things like that. It can start to draw from that. Number 2, ask it to use your website using what it knows about customers already. And what it will do then is, because AI is scraping the internet all the time, it will go, I've seen a news article about you guys. I've seen some reviews on reviews.io or Trustpilot or Judge Me. I've seen some reviews about this brand. I've seen some people on social mentioning this brand before as well, before you've brought it up. And so I think it's quite exciting actually saying like, give me some feedback or help me create an AI audience group, an agentic audience, or some audiences for my business or some groups of audiences. I think a group of audiences is good. I think go somewhere between sort of like 3 and 10. Different audience bases, but ask it like, what do you think my audience is based on the website already? And then you can tell it and say, and you could even get it to do some number crunching. You could say, here's an export of all first names of my audience. What can you tell me about that? And they can say, we think your audience is over the age of 50 because of the names. Those names are not as popular now as they were 50 years ago when babies were being born. So we think your audience is around the age of 50. Or it might come back and say you're 70% female, 10% male, and 20% unknown. So it could be names like Sam, which could be a boy or a girl, depending on what they go by. So number 3, third thing we'll do, crawling the reviews and say, here's a link to all the reviews that we've got on our review plugin. Tell us tell me what you know about my audience based on this, or help me build help me build an audience segmentation. Now we get into the fun bit. Now go and visit the website and try to buy a product or try to book an event, try to book a hotel room, try to make an inquiry as audience 3, whoever they are. And you can do it with each audience. We can say, visit the site as all 10 audiences and now give me a report on each one. And the thing you want to specifically ask it, and this is where my team have been using it in quite an advanced way, is you specifically want to ask it things like, what are some of the emotional sticking points? What information do people clearly need to make their decision? If we just, rather than talk about all the other things like booking an event and stuff, I'm just going to talk about e-commerce here, but making a buying decision. What information do they need about the product, the business that they're not getting at the moment? What information are they getting that is powerful, useful, and sort of ticks the box? And again, that's a really, really powerful way then of getting some incredible feedback back from AI, and you get it instantly. I know it's not actually instant, but it might take it like 30 seconds, a minute to actually get all of that information. And how powerful is that? We did it with one of our clients a few weeks ago, and it came back saying things like, there's a membership option. You can become a member of this business. And it came back saying, didn't quite understand the fact that most people are not based near this site more than once a year, but you have to buy an annual membership to go, which is quite expensive. So the upfront cost against the visit frequency doesn't seem like a good option at all. So we think this audience group, they're not going to buy from you, or they're going to be such a low percentage, we wouldn't recommend targeting it. The genuine thing that ChatGPT came back and told us, which is incredibly valuable. The biggest thing here as well is when we're having those conversations with clients, or if you're having them internally as a business, it's a really important point to say, well, look, the AI was really, really clear using all the data it has available, but actually our offering is complicated. I'll give an example, and now come on to the the 5th point on this, which is like the output, the big output you're looking to really get from this. But a really good example of this is if you have got slightly complicated delivery information, if you're an American business and the delivery cost is slightly different state by state, the biggest thing that turns customers off and stops them buying on a website is confusion or unknowns. We had a client we were looking at. We came to see you guys over in the West Country just on Friday last week, and we were saying, like, and again, it's a bit of an assumption. We're going to see what the data does, but it said shipping calculated at checkout. So we had a bit of a conversation about that and said, let's just remove it for now. Let's take the ambiguity out and see if people then don't even question it. And then when they get to the checkout, it says delivery cost is this, or you qualify for free delivery. And we're going to put on more bullet points about the free delivery and stuff later. But just that unknown is scary. So if your delivery information across all the states in America, or you're shipping internationally, and it's not a simple, like, international shipping is $30 unless you spend $500 and then it's free. That's quite simple to understand, and you can definitely put it in less words than I just said. Free over 500 or £30 or $30, whatever, for the delivery. So if that's an issue, create some of these audience groups and say to ChatGPT, go onto the site as each audience group and tell me what the ambiguity is, or how ambiguous or how confusing our delivery information is. And then my final point on this, my 5th point, is what you need to use AI for is to connect the technical deployment with the emotional issues. So the emotional issue there is it's confusing, or it's kind of okay, or it makes sense, but it's quite wordy, and customers, it says only audience group 4, they're in a hurry, they want to buy stuff quickly. So if you want to target more of that group, it needs to be like just at a glance and in less than 2 seconds. It needs to be really, really clear and easy. And that's what you want to ask it for, is that technical deployment. Like, what should I change this to? Give me some alternatives of what the delivery information could say. Or that client of ours as well, the physical location. It's like, what should the membership look like? What can it say? We even ask it, then go one step further, please do a mock-up of what it could look like on the site. And it uses your site to do that. Another brand we've just agreed to start working with. And again, I know, James, you listen to the show. I think I mentioned you last week, actually, as well. But it was fascinating when we spoke to you guys, and you mentioned about the blog, and we said, look, no one looks at, you get loads of traffic on the blog, but no one buys anything. And the blog's a bit old. And you guys were like, maybe we'll think about redesigning it. So just on the train home, built a new design and sent it across to you guys, both desktop and mobile version. And it was just really cool the way it just sort of structured stuff, and it looks pretty nice and neat, which is amazing. And again, it was just giving you some very, very quick ideas, and it's very visual, so everyone can understand it. Gone are the days of doing these really long, drawn out sort of like, design meetings and marketing about who we are and what we want to stand for. It's like, let our customers decide, and AI can help that happen a bit quicker. That all sounds great. So hopefully you've not stopped listening and gone, I've got enough now, because I've got 2 warnings for you on this. We have had some very bad results and bad responses from this as well. So I've got a couple of points here. Number one is, like any good tool, it depends on how it's used. We didn't just get up one day and start using it for that. We've had a lot of failed attempts, and we've gone back to clients saying, we're using an Agentic AI audience to look at your site, or 3 groups that it came up with, groups of people. And the customers come back and say, that's definitely not our customer, and this is why. And actually had some pretty good concrete data-led reasons as to why they weren't our customers. But that did lead a little bit to a conversation of going, well, that's our brand positioning and what we're trying to target right now. Picture of the London skyline on our homepage, and actually 99% of our customers are not based in London. It's like, right, no more London Eye, no more Gherkin, get rid of all of that, no Millennium Dome. Like we actually need to put a bridge in Newcastle or something. So we've got a big customer base there. But again, like everything, it depends how you use this. And so by using it in the right way, you'll get the right result. If you don't use it in the right way, things like this will drain a lot of time. And worse still, because we're talking about a customer feedback agentic AI group, there is a chance that if we get this wrong, it's going to lead to a lot of investment and spend on things that won't yield a good result, because it was the wrong information in the first place. You need to be very, very careful with stuff like this. But it is exciting the way that the tools are evolving, and tech and AI are evolving. The second thing, and the last thing for me today, is it'll only do what you ask. So on the 3 or 4 examples I've given while I've been talking about this, all of them started with data. So the delivery information one, for example, we looked and saw loads of people are visiting site, viewing products, adding to cart, and then when they get into checkout, we had all this set up on GA4. When they reached the point that it actually estimated the delivery, big drop off. So we didn't go into that going, tell me off the bat, like, what's wrong with this site. We went in saying, people are dropping off at checkout, and we think it's because of delivery, but go and use the site as this audience group, or as our main 3 audience groups. Go and use the site and come back and tell us how ambiguous or how confusing whatever the delivery information is. And it came back and made a good point that based on our average order value, the delivery cost was quite high compared to the average order value. Therefore, the best approach for us as a business is to be A, upfront about the delivery cost, and B, actually be upfront about when you get free delivery, because that wasn't clear on the site. So you see how it's come back with some interesting points by visiting the site and getting some good qualitative data on it. But again, we started with a piece of data. So we use real hard facts and evidence to say to the agentic AI audience, like, this is the issue. Send in the 3 audiences and feedback what you find for each audience. I hope it's been useful, super exciting, and I hope I haven't sent too many of you down a rabbit hole. I've wasted so much of my life on AI. That annual leave system sounds great. I'm 108 messages in, because you pay per message you send to the AI. 108 messages, and I've made my first app. So super exciting. I've made quite a few now anyway, but and I'm getting better at it. But that's my point, is like, don't expect perfect result overnight. And also the AI is still learning. So the more information you give it, the more it will learn. But there's also some information you probably don't want to share with it or shouldn't share with it from a GDPR or data protection perspective. Hope you enjoyed today. We'll be back again on Friday. We've got some seriously exciting episodes. Just after recording this, I'm heading to a studio in London to record the most incredible episode with the DMA. I'm so excited to get that episode out. We're talking about cookie banners, laws, and all sorts of other stuff that I'm not qualified to comment on, but Chris is. So I'm looking forward to seeing Chris later today and recording that, which will be out in the next few weeks. I don't know when the schedule is, but it'll be out soon. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Go and join our newsletter on the website. And if you've got any ideas, want to get involved in the show, you've got a story to tell, then please reach out to us, hello@winningwithshopify.com. I've been Nick. You've been great. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time.